Go.
So, good afternoon, everyone. I am Vincent Christopher A. King from the the grade 12 UMS stock grades, and I will be the presenter for today's lesson. Today's lesson is all about the civil societies and social movements. Presented to Ira E. Salome E. Fontalba, teacher 2 of Isula National High School, in fulfillment of the requirement for the Philippine politics and governance subject. Presented by Vincent Christopher A. King. So we are going to tackle about the overviews of the concepts, roles, and contributions of the civil societies and social movements. The learning competencies of of this lesson are the following: discuss the concepts of civil society and social movements, explain the contributions of civil society organizations and social movements to the Philippine democracy. And the last is evaluate the role of civil society organizations and social movements. I have here a brief explanation of the civil society and social movements. Civil society is a society governed by law under the authority of a state and is distinguished from the state. Social movements, on the other hand, is a collective challenges based on common purposes and social solidarities and sustained interactions with elites, opponents, and authorities. So later we will discuss more profoundly about this civil society and social movement. So just relax and wait for my presentation. Okay, the concept of civil society. As of July 15, 2020, according to study.com, a civil society is comprised of groups or organizations working in the interest of citizens but operating outside of the governmental and for-profit sectors. This only means that the civil society is not a is not a government organization. Hindi po siya nabilong sa mga government organizations and hindi po siya kumikita ng pera. Organizations and institutions that make up civil society include labor unions, non-profit organizations, churches, and other service agencies that provide an important service to society but generally ask for very little in return. So they provide service, but they do not accept pay. They accept only donations. That's the nature of the civil society, and that's the concept of civil society. They only provide service for the people, but they only accept donations from the people also, or from the volunteers. So non-government organizations fall into the category of civil society because they are not operated by the government. The name itself speaks for itself. Easy naman siya intindihon kay sa pangalan niya pa lang, non-government organization. Ibig sabihin, hindi po siya pinapatakbo ng gobyerno. Therefore, it is not a part of the government. And okay, continuation. And they are very often reliant on donations only and tend to be comprised of volunteers. Just like what I have said earlier, that the civil society, the groups under the civil society, they provide service, but they do not accept pay. They only accept donations and volunteerism acts only. So yeah, another example of civil society at work is civic groups. So civic groups is also a subgroup coming from the civil society. Examples of these civic groups are Rotary Club or Kiwanis. So what is a Rotary Club? The Rotary Club of the Philippines is a local chapter of Rotary International in the Filipino community. The Rotary Club of the Philippines has been a source of support to other community service projects. It holds medical and surgical services in the indigenous communities to serve the needy and also offers scholarship to the serving students. So specifically, the civil society, the groups under the civil society just provide service, but they do not accept pay. So, continuation. Rotary is an organization of business and professional person united worldwide to provide humanitarian service. So, they are comprised of businessmen and professionals na nagbibigay ng kanilang service or donations for the people. This is, I consider this as a charity work for me. To provide humanitarian service, encourage high ethical standards in all vocations, and help build goodwill and peace in the world. So that's the Rotary Club. So next is the Kiwanis. Kiwanis. Kiwanis helps kids around the world. Local clubs look out for our communities and the international organization takes on large scale challenges such as fighting diseases and poverty. So, para mas madali matandaan, the Kiwanis focuses on serving children, while Rotary is a more broad-based organization. The motto of Kiwanis is serving the children of the world. So, to conclude, Kiwanis just focuses on serving children, while Rotary is a broad-based organization. So, ibig sabihin, mas malawak po yung sakop ng Rotary Club. Mas malawak po yung interest ng Rotary Club kaysa sa Kiwanis. Yung Kiwanis, they only serve for children's and children's right. For Rotary Club, they serve for the scholarships, medical scholarship, healthcare, and humanitarian services. So yeah, the example of non-government organizations that we have here in the Philippines is the most famous, the Philippine Red Cross. So si Kuya Lloyd and si Ma'am is volunteers of Red Cross. Tama ba, Ma'am?
Ambot man ko ta si Lloyd ko, volunteer ko ka Red Cross.
Volunteer ah.
Siguro, hindi mga, kasi kung volunteer, Abi, kung ako, kung lang tao ko ang word nga volunteer, may spare time after DepEd, after public works, ginahatag ko dito. Pero kisa ay man ako dito. Siguro advocate lang guro ang ako anay ka.
Sige,
Oo.
go.
Muna na
Si
siya.
Ma'am advocate
Oo.
sa
Red
Red Cross, sa
Cross.
Philippine Red Cross.
Oo.
Siya ng advisor sa Philippine Red Cross sa national.
Yes.
Sa definition mo, ma'am, kung how you define the word volunteer.
Ano, Lloyd?
Depende kung how you define the word volunteer.
Oo, gani man.
Sa
Oo.
imo.
Oo. Pero ano, advocate lang anay Lloyd. Di masyadong volunteer.
Depends on the personal perspective. Gali.
Parang mabigat kasi siyang pakinggan kung volunteer kay daw, ano.
Sabagay, kaya dako, kaya
Oo.
responsibility mo.
Oo. Sige, sige. Or,
Okay, that's all for the concept of civil society. Let's move on to the roles of civil society. So dito pala, based on the modules, yung civil society and social movements is nahalo siya. So ang ginawa ko, hinati-hati ko. Kinuha ko yung concept ng civil society, kinuha ko yung roles ng civil society, and then kinuha ko din yung contributions ng civil society para at least maisa-isa natin at maintindihan ng lahat. Kasi kung pagsabayin ko sila na contributions ng civil society at social movements, magkakaroon ng confusion between the two. So, hinati-hati ko na talaga sila para at least for your benefit also, para mas maintindihan ninyo. So, yeah. Next is the roles of civil society. According to Can et al. 2015, civil society organizations and social movements play an essential role in democratizing politics and governance and can provide both immediate relief and longer-term transformative change by defending collective interests in increasing accountability, providing solidarity mechanisms, facilitate participation of the people in the policymaking and execution process of the government, key participant political force, role in enhancing democracy, important institutional vehicles, and directly engaging in service delivery and challenging prejudice. So base matingala kamo nga may ara da sang vehicles, tao sila pero hindi sila salakyan ha. They ano lang sila though they deliver services ganon yon. Pero hindi sila vehicle na literal na vehicle ha. So masyado siyang malalim para intindihin ang bawat tawag nito, ang bawat nakabulat diyan. So ang ginawa ko, sinamarize ko na lang for your benefit also. So civil society is the ecosystem that influences social change. Yun lang yung roles niya. Influences social change outside of the family, market, or government. They promote social change whenever they see that something that is not right about the government. Yun. So they often referred to as the space where we act for the common good. Civil society aims to connect poor or marginalized people with groups that can mobilize and support to help. So yeah, civil society is there because the role of civil society is to help people that is in need or that is in vulnerable situation, that are being compromised with their human rights. So civil society's role is very essential in our community, in our society nowadays, since a lot of injustices happening here in the Philippines, and civil society is one of the um, social equalizer that we have to deal with these injustices. So next, bigyan ko na lang siguro ng example yung civil society. I-add, magdagdag ako doon sa kaninang mga example ng civil society groups. So civil society groups are as follows. The churches, di ba di ba narinig nyo kanina na sinabi ko is they provide service but they do not ask for pay. They only ask for donations. So churches, they do not ask for pay. Di ba? Na humihintay lang sila ng ating tawag nito, ng ating offering about sa mass na yon. And others are the online groups or social media communities, non-governmental organizations, yun na yung nasabi ko kanina, unions and other collective bargaining groups, innovators, entrepreneurs, and activists. So another example of this is the community pantry. Do you believe that the community pantry is under the civil society? Hello?
Yes.
Ang may
Yes.
nagsabat.
To spill the tea, the community pantry is under the civil society, specifically the civic group. So the civic group is comprised of people, yung common people lang po na gumagawa ng initiatives para at least mabigyan ng aid yung community na kung saan sila nabebelong. So yung community pantries na yon na inorganize ni Ana Patricia Non. Kilala nyo yon? Yung Maginhawa Pantry ni Ana Patricia Non. It is the best example of civic group. When Ana Patricia Non established the Maginhawa Pantry, they do not ask for pay. They only ask for donations. Kumuha base sa pangangailangan at magbigay base sa kakayahan. So there is a mutualism, there is a symbiotic relationship between the provider and the consumer sa community pantries. Kasi yung sa community pantries, yung kumukuha, yung may need. And yung nagbibigay is yung may ibibigay. So, yung organizers ng community pantry, hindi po sila binabayaran. They only provide service. Volunteerism acts lang po yung nasa community pantry natin. So, under po siya sa civil society, specifically sa civic group. Next. Feel ko may roles pa ni siya isa. Para pata. Ay, okay. Wala na. So, contribution na ta sang civil society. Wait lang. Okay. Contribution of the civil society. They are known to champion issues to the marginalized members of the society, such as issues on poverty, environmental protection, human rights, and labor rights. In the consequences of a disaster and pandemic, such as the eruptions of Taal volcano and COVID-19, group like the Philippine Red Cross was instrumental in serving those affected and helping them get back to normal. So Philippine Red Cross has truly become the premier humanitarian organization in the country, committed to provide quality life-saving services that protect the life and dignity, especially of indigent Filipinos in vulnerable situations. So ito yung sinasabi ko kanina. The civil society is really a great help for the community, for the society, for our country. They provide aid for the people, yung mga taong hindi napapansin ng ating gobyerno, napapansin yon ng ating civil society. And malaking tulong yon upang matugunan yung kanilang pangangailangan, mabigyan ng solusyon yung kanilang mga problema. So, Philippine Red Cross is really a great help for the time of crisis, this pandemic. If Kuya Lloyd, pwede ako mag-ask?
Sige.
Yung sa about good sa parang may nabasa ako na article ba? Yung sa Philippine Red Cross. Naka-raise ba sila ng fund about sa vaccination?
Yung regarding sa vaccination, pa yun siya, parang misconception between the chairman na parang nag-raise sila, pero ang totoo niyan is parang mag-procure lang yung yung Red Cross ng vaccine to the other countries para i-redistribute sa mga tao. Pero hindi yun siya.
Okay. So at least 'di ba, meron din namang natulong yung Philippine Red Cross sa pandemic, 'di ba? Realize.
Oo.
Kasi gi-visit ko yung page ng Philippine Red Cross and nakita ko is meron silang mga na-raise na money for the aid for the pandemic. So yeah. So yun yung Philippine Red Cross. So these groups are considered non-governmental aid organizations or the NGOs, which provides assistance to people for little or no fee. So meron pa ako ditong examples ng NGOs for you to be familiar. We have NGOs fighting for the natural for the environmental protection here in the Philippines. The Greenpeace Philippines. The Greenpeace Philippines is an active volunteer organization that campaigns for the mission to save the environment. Some of their campaigns include stopping climate change, saying no to genetic engineering, and defending the ocean. So, these groups under the civil society provides help for us. Also, kasi yung iba kasi hindi masusolusyonan ng gobyerno, inasusolusyonan ng civic groups, ng civil society natin, ng mga grupo under the civil society. So, yung contributions nila hindi talaga matatawaran. Next is the Haribon Foundation. Ribbon Foundation is an organization built in 1972 that commits to help through nature conservation. This organization is known with their services such as conserving sites and habitats, saving species, encouraging sustainability, and empowering people. Yun po yun. So, too many to mention yung mga non-governmental aid organizations natin kasi limited lang yung time natin ngayon. So, if I may, mag-proceed na po tayo sa next slide. Meron pa atang contribution po na isa. Yeah, meron pa. So, in the Philippines, civic groups are made up of people from community who volunteer their time in order to raise money for community projects or needs. Ito yung sinasabi ko kaninang community pantries. Yung sa community pantries, they raise money, they raise funds for the benefit of their community, for the benefit of the community where they belong. Yun po yun. Initiative po yun ng common people na nasa community natin. So hindi po sila isang group na kalakihan. They are just made of people with initiatives. Yun po yun. Though these groups tend to be much smaller than NGOs, they are important because they represent the ordinary citizen contributing to the overall well-being of the community. In certain cases, your family could be considered a part of civic society because they voluntarily contribute to your well-being and generally ask for nothing in return. This, in turn, might allow you to go out and contribute elsewhere in the broader civil sector. So, yun yun. Yun yung roles, concept, and contribution of the civil society. Now, may ipepresent ako sa inyong video about civil society para at least mas alam natin kung ano yung civil society, what are the nature of the civil society. Marinig ang video.
Apo, oh.
Sige, play ko na.
When you think about civil society, see an individual standing up for what is right. For me, to change something for the other, to make better this world for themselves, but more importantly for others. It's actually very simple. It's people getting together to do something. They do it because they think it needs to be done. They see that the government is not providing the service, so they get together and do it. Civil society is trying to claim basic rights for the normal person within the community. I'll give you an example. Somebody who's in the money and selling and paying taxes to the local government, all they're trying to do is to claim their right to good services.
Much of civil society is around speaking truth to power. It's about trade unions coming together to fight for workers' rights. It's the anti-slavery movement. It's the women's rights movement.
Without civil society, there would be huge inequality in the countries that we work in, because civil society questions authority and requires accountability.
I think human history has been a continuous struggle against power and the excesses of power. The only two ways we can challenge that excess of power. One is by organizing into organizations and civil society, and the other one is by violence. Now, that violence option is hopefully off the table now. Let's now focus as us saying, we're coming with no guns, we're coming with no bullets, we're coming with a force of our numbers. In South Africa, in the 1980s, it was students and trade unions and church leaders who came together to challenge power and deliver the greatest political miracle of the 20th century, the end of apartheid.
One major impact of the Kenyan civil society is the constitution that specifically provides for the right to education, the right to health, and the right to water and sanitation. Those rights were not in the previous constitution at all.
India is an extremely unequal society. We've still had people who have been dying of hunger. It was very, very critical that the state takes responsibility of ensuring at least people's right to food. But the state was extremely reluctant. It was only the civil society efforts, the civil society's organized advocacy, mass pressure, which led to the Right to Vote Act. The biggest challenge now is to some extent that civil society has become a victim of their own success. There are governments saying, we don't want civil society to help keeping us in check. So what will we do? We will restrict these groups with legislation. We will even sometimes refer to them as terrorist groups, and we will put their leaders in jail. So just at a time when civil society should be playing a greater role in our societies, the conditions under which we work are getting worse, not better. It is in our own self-interest as human beings to allow a multiplicity of ideas, a multiplicity of beliefs, as long as they're peaceful. So whether you look at the environmental movement, whether you look at the feminist movement, it came from what is now called the civil society. And they incrementally keep moving towards the vision of changing the world, of creating a just and equal society.
So you have here another video.
Know that a fractured society is not will not be good. We need better equality, better democracy. We cannot rely on the idea that technology will solve everything. Vast parts of the population is a bit left behind. It's not a world that we want. We don't want it for ourselves, we don't want it for our children and grandchildren.
Digital transformation creates tremendous opportunities, but it also creates challenges. We're constantly dealing with the changes that wheel for our society. Who has power, who doesn't, who has weight, who doesn't.
Civil society has an immense amount of lumber to ensure that the technologies are implemented in a way consistent with broader societal goals. Technology should be in the service of human beings, in the service of values, in the service of family. Jobs will be destroyed at the times of jobs create about 90% of jobs are very low and very low protected.
We're losing trust in each other. How do we bring credibility back to the conversation?
This is demonstrating the things the market can solve these things. The practical reality is more on that the market doesn't work very well. So our focus now is how we make the market work for the disenfranchised.
Civil society is embedded in communities working on some of the most vulnerable groups around the world. We are that participate in the decisions and that they should be aware and willing and committed to defend human rights. Human rights.
There are some very, very good examples of people using technology for democratic purposes. It's not whether people are keeping up, it's whether we are thoughtful about shaping a future where people matter.
Plays an incredibly important role in holding government to account. Really is a way of bringing the voice of the community and residents that we're trying to serve to those accountable.
And without them, we cannot find any solution.
The most innovation happening in business, in government, and in civil society is when the three work together.
We can't do development without partnering. We will never have the funds nor the capabilities to be able to do this on our own.
21st century growth cannot be built by any one sector. It is absolutely necessary that collaboration happen.
In the African context, with all the challenges we have, it was civil society, private sector who have come to take action. And modern society does well when it really tries to capitalize on social and ethical potential that there is in civil society. Some of the things that we have learned before really help connect with the central government. Here you have government, private sector, and civil society in the same room, having a discussion, advancing the agenda of tomorrow.
Develop opportunities, develop new models. Whether you're talking about climate, or you're talking about education, or you're talking about health, or you're talking about economic development, there's also an opportunity to do something different as we try to address some of the real challenges. There's going to be movement from innovation to action.
The World Economic Forum is a partner for all of us in civil society fighting for a better world.
So yeah, that is all about the civil society. Civil society helps people fight for their rights, fight for the issues, um, human rights, injustices, environmental protection, women empowerment, and other causes also that champions that are being championed by the civil society. So civil society is known for champion issues talaga. So next na, from the current time, na to. Okay, social movements. The concept of social movement. As stated by Colas, 2002, social movements are defined as a sustained and purposeful collective mobilized by an identifiable self-organized group in confrontation with specific power structures in the pursuit of socio-economic and political change. Many social scientists have defined social movements in different contexts, but all of them states that social movements are groups meant to bring social change. So just like the civil society, social movements aim for social change. According to Blomer, social movements are collective enterprises to establish a new order of life. A new order of life means a change, a change in the life of people. Yun po yun. Social movements are a collectivity which acts with some continuity to promote or resist a change in the society or group of which it is a part. Social movements are called social because they intend to bring about change in the society, and movement because they have the capacity to mobilize or organize people with common interests and goals. Um, any of you have the idea about the social movement? Meron po tayong mga famous na events na social movements po yun ang nagpanalo. Anyone po? Classmates? Meron kayong idea? Wala? Okay. Bigay ko na lang yung idea. I'll spill the tea na lang. You remember the People Power Revolution? It was a social movement. The People Power Revolution is a social movement. The Black Lives Matter, it was also a social movement. Um, di lang po sila basta-basta ginagawa. Ginagawa po yung social movement ng mga tao. Though informal siya informal po ang social movement. Though informal siya kasi hindi po talaga sila napagplanuhan na buuin for years. Nabuo lang po sila for just a matter of time. Na kung saan nag-share po sila ng interest nila and they decided to congregate, to make a change by social movement. So, yung goal po nila is ipaglaban yung human rights, ipaglaban kung ano sa tingin nila ang tama, at ipaglaban kung ano man yung mali ng gobyerno. Yun po yung social movement. They bring about change. That's the concept of social movement. The rules. According to Patarantana Unum grabe ang pangalan. According to Patarantana noon, 2012, social movements were decisive forces in democratic breakthrough in the Philippines. Social movements are called social because they intend to bring about change, kagaya ng sinabi ko kanina, and movement because they have the capacity to mobilize or organize people with common interests and goals. Yun po yun. For further understanding, social movement are a type of group action. Group action po yung social movement, but they are large informal groupings of people or individuals that focus on specific political or social issue. Yun po yun. Hindi po kagaya po ng civil society, hindi po sila same ng social movement kasi yung civil society are groups po sila na organize po formally. Pero yung social movement, large informal groupings lang po kasi biglaan po silang gumawa ng grupo. Yun po yun. Biglaan po silang gumawa ng movement to bring about, to bring immediate change. Yun po yun. Kasi kung pag-aaralan natin yung People Power Revolution, hindi po yun ginawa a year before. Ginawa po yun month or weeks nang gusto nilang patalsikin si Marcos mismo. Yun po yung pagkakagawa ng social movements. So next, they can function as watchers or observers of the government, calling the attention of both government and the people to act. These actions may result in the change of leaders, even the government. These actions may result in the change of leaders or even the government. Napalitan po si Marcos dahil po sa social movement. Napalitan po si Marcos dahil po sa EDSA People Power Revolution. So, because power resides with the people in a democratic country, because power resides with the people in a democratic government, and the citizens can directly or indirectly affect their government. Social movements and social organizations contribute to democracy by providing a venue where citizens can voice out their concerns to the government programs. So since ang Philippines is in democratic country, meron po talagang power ang tao. Meron po talaga tayong power against power to bring about change in the government if we wish to bring change. Kung may gusto tayong ibaguhin na hindi naman dapat karapat-dapat sa ating gobyerno. Yun po yun. Next. Roles, contribution. Okay. So, we are now at the contributions of social movements. Under the dictatorial regime of Marcos, ito yung sinasabi ko kanina, the following decades witnessed widespread human rights violations. Students, academics, journalists, businessmen, laborers, and peasants were arrested, tortured, and killed. In addition, the regime also plundered the Philippines' economy through the use of various kinds of corrupt practices. The brutality of the regime drew strong opposition from a variety of social groups and movements, especially from the National Democratic Front. Opposition to the Marcos regime escalated after the killing of opposition member Benigno Aquino in 1983. The opposition culminated in a massive popular uprising widely known as EDSA 1. After the Epifanio de los Santos Avenue or EDSA, where majority of protests took place. That toppled the Marcos regime in February 1986. EDSA 1 po yung tinawag doon kasi may kasunod pa. Next. Ito na. Ironically, it was moderate social movements and disaffected military forces that fought Marcos before martial law all the way up to the uprising, and that, through its leading role in people power, brought back democratization to the Philippines. A similar movement held on January 18, 2001 caused the dethronement of former President Joseph Ejercito Estrada in the event known as the EDSA 2. Yun po yung EDSA People Power 2, wherein hundreds of thousands Filipinos poured into the EDSA shrine area. When the numbers of protesters reached 1 million in the next day, the leadership of the military and police withdrew their support from Estrada and expressed support for Arroyo. This act signaled the end of Estrada's presidency. So imagine how powerful the Filipinos, how powerful social movement can make to change a government, to change the government officials, even the highest government official in the government. Okay. So that's the end of my presentation. But before we end, may present pa rin po akong video about the social movement also. The Black Lives Matter. Wait, may ad. Yung mga names po yun po yung mga black people na 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 biktima po ng katulad ng nangyari kay George Floyd.
George Floyd repeatedly told the officers that he could not breathe after an officer knelt on his neck. The family of George Floyd held a memorial in his memory. My brother's gone. Floyd name still lives on.
George Floyd, you are gone but not forgotten. Because of you, we've come together.
This is for George Floyd.
To kneel, to be quiet. We're saying your name. We're saying your name. We're getting loud.
Yes, that's what I mean, informal sila because hindi po sila na-organize, biglaan po sila na-organize just like this. In just 1 week, may na-organize na po yung Black Lives Matter from all around the world. Yun po yun. Next is the People Power Revolution.
Kalaban ng demokrasya ang diktadurya. Kaya noong 1966, ang mga mamamayang sinong walang kalayaan galing sa pagmamanapit at kapangyarihan ng diktador na Pangulong Marcos. Nagkaroon ng pag-aakla. Sa loob ng 4 na araw, nangyari ang People Power Revolution. Sa unang araw, noong February 22, 1966, umpisang nag-ipon ang mga tao sa EDSA sa labas ng Camp Crame. Tumiwalag sa administrasyon ni Marcos si Juan Ponce Enrile na nooy Defense Minister at si Fidel Ramos na dating Vice Chief of Staff ng Armed Forces of the Philippines o AFP. Noong sumunod na araw, ika-23 ng Pebrero 1956, inukaw ng panawagan ni Jaime Cardinal Sin ang mamamayang Pilipino. Lalo pang dumami ang mga taong pumunta sa EDSA at sumuporta sa panawagang patalsikin si Marcos. Doon na din dumating ang mga militar at sakay ng mga tangking pandigma. Ika-24 ng Pebrero 1986, ang ikatlong araw, nagbanta ang kampo ni Marcos na aatake ito. Pero patuloy na lumalaki ang bilang ng taong nag-aaklak laban sa kanyang administrasyon. Hanggang sa dumating ang huling araw ng revolusyon, ika-25 ng Pebrero 1986.
People increased in number and then there was no turning back anymore. And what became crucial was that the military started crumbling. One after the other, units started defecting towards the ranks. Because as the people's numbers increased, the impossibility of Marcos doing anything also increased.
Soldiers came out with white flags and their armalites. I thought this was a turning point because the soldiers said to us they were going to join the people. They were not going to fire.
Ano nga ba ang nangyari sa huling araw ng EDSA People Power? Ang huling kabanata ng diktaburyang Marcos. Dahil sa lakas ng pwersa ng mga mamamayang sinong sumusuporta sa revolusyon, nagbumikat ang araw para kay Marcos. Madaling araw pa lang, nakahusod na ang planong pag-atake ng mga militar sa Camp Crame. Bandang alas 5 ng umaga, nagdesisyon ang Pangulong Marcos na hindi bababa sa pwesto kasunod ng abiso ng kanyang asawa at dating First Lady, Imelda Marcos. Pero halos 30 minuto ang lumipas. Nagbigay na ito ng go signal sa kanyang pamilya na lilisanin nila ang Malacanang sa araw na yun. Habang ang kampo ni Cory Aquino nag-ahanda na sa Club Filipino sa San Juan para sa inauguration nito bilang bagong ganap na Pangulo. Nagbabantay ang mga tao roon. Nag-aabang kung sakaling sasalakayin sila ng kampo ni Marcos at ilan ang inaugurasyon. Pagsapit ng alas 10 ng umaga, dumating si Cory Aquino at nagpa bilang Pangulo kay Senior Justice Claudio Ginang. Itinalaga bilang Vice President si Nooy Senator Salvador Laurel. Nagbago ang isip ni Marcos sa paglisan ng palasyo. Naghanda rin sa kanyang sariling inauguration sa ceremonial hall ng Malacanang. Bandang alas 11:55 ng umaga, nanupari ng Pangulo ni Marcos. Pero ang live coverage po, minuto habang pinering.
Marcos took his oath in Malacanang at around 12 noon. But then it was interrupted. I think TV Channel 4, which was showing that inauguration, was interrupted when the transmitter was knocked out. And so that, that was a symbol of the end, in the sense that screens went blank.
Na lamang sabay-sabay na pinaputukan ang mga transmitter ng mga channel. Ilang gumamit ng movie camera para kunan ang panunumpa nito sa pagkapangulo kay Chief Justice Ramon Aquino. Pagkatapos nito, lumabas ng balkonahe si Marcos at nagpakita sa kanyang mga taga-suporta.
There was one last rallying effort that Marcos did when the balcony thing and then you have the children, they all look worried. I don't know if you saw that picture. Yeah, that was one of his last formal activities as the president of his country.
Nag-ingat
ang alitan sa parehong panig. Pero patuloy na nanaig ang demokrasya at ang people power. Bandang alas 4 ng hapon sa Malacanang, inalok ni U.S. Brigadier General Ted Allen ang pamilya Marcos na gamitin ang mga American helicopters o di kaya ay mga barko para lisanin ang Malacanang. Marcos, sinabing mas pipiliin niyang mamatay sa palasyo. Alas 5 ng hapon, nawagan ni Marcos ng Enrile para sana'y makipag-ugnayan sa ideyang lisanin ang Malacanang. Pero, ang umpisa ng mag-alsa-balutan ang pamilya. Alas 6 na ng hapon nang napapayag ang Pangulo na tuluyang malis sa Malacanang.
The U.S. told him directly through the special envoy of the President of the U.S. to cut and cut clean. And they provided the transport that he could leave Malacanang, and he was assured safe passage, be able to travel abroad.
Alas 7 ng gabi sa Malacanang, ikinasa sa mga bangka ang mga pagkahe ng pamilya Marcos. At ikanda na ang pangarap Gulf War kung saan susunduin ng mga helicopter ang pamilya Marcos. 8:40 ng gabi, isigurado ng mga convoy ang dadaanan ng pamilya Marcos. Ilang minuto ang iba. Sa isang nasakay na helicopter ang pamilya, pati na ang ibang kaalyado nito. Ganap at 9:05 ng gabi nang umalis ang unang helicopter sa Malacanang. Makatipas ang halos isang oras, dumating na sa Clark Air Base ang mga Marcos. Pero ang pagpunod sa kanila, mga hiyaw ng taga-suporta ni Aquino. Bandang 9:52 ng gabi, inanunsyo sa radyo na siya na nangisisan ng mga Marcos ang bansa. Pagkatapos nito, inasok ng Pilipino ang Malacanang kung saan tumambay ang iwang dami ng mga Marcos.
So we entered freely into the building, and we were telling them not to touch the papers because those were important documents of the malpractice.
Sa puntong ito, inumpirma ng bawat Pilipinong nagwalugin ang demokrasya at pumatak sa kasaysayan ang people power.
We were 48 who drafted the Philippine Constitution, and we wanted to make sure that never again there would be dictatorship, to ensure that our democracy survives, to make sure that our rights and the Bill of Rights are respected, to make sure that women, youth, children are respected, indigenous peoples, the climate, public health. So, this is a beautiful country, but it can only be safeguarded by young people like yourself.
So that's all about my presentation. Thank Di ba mali na pindot?
Tingala ko naghipos kay.
Okay na, ma'am.
Okay, hala. So ako naman ang nadula. Batian ko. Hello.
Yes.
Okay. O, te. Naubos yung kalantaw o nagturulog ka mo dira? Jenny, kamusta ka na, Jen?
Natulog kita na doon.
Ah, okay. Ano, King?
Natulog kita na guro ang iban.
Oo.
Kaon, ma'am.
Ay, nalang, Diyos ko, Lord, kita na. Harap pa si Tabsing, why doon? Away na tana.
Tagari sa mo, kung kaon na kita na ilang tagari mo.
Palmes, Kadil, okay. O sige, so, very substantial and explained ang report ni King, no? Before proceeding sa Q&A, ako anay mo una mamangkot. King, amo na to siya last, wala na?
Na.
Okay, you presented to us examples of social movements. May naisip lang ako ba?
Yes.
Do you know or ano ba ang tawag naman? Parang may naalala ba kayo na pangyayari about sabay-sabay na pag-report ng account ni Mocha Oson?
Ay, wala. Wala ko na nabatian.
Kabalo sina, ma'am.
Ara si Pugoy pa de?
Kay Jam Magno.
Oo, kay Jam Magno.
Naglas na siya, ma'am.
Ara pa si Roel Pugoy, waay na.
Naglas na, ma'am.
Ay, nag-left siya. Kasi, daw last year, 2019 bala. Oh. Nadula ko, wait, balik ko, dali Ay, may pamangkot ko. Ang ano ba, ang social movement ba just happen only pag face-to-face, yung mga na-cite mo na example? What about like reporting the FB account of Mocha Oson? Does not qualify ba sa sa social movement?
Actually, social movement does not only qualify to face-to-face.
Oo.
I think some issues are being discussed online also.
Oo.
One of the examples is the Twitter. Sa Twitter mismo, marami pong feed doon sa Twitter na Filipino the people can really discuss their feelings about something and they can bring about change. Like using a hashtag, only using a hashtag pero merong ano tawag nito? Merong change na nagaganap if we choose we choose hashtags. Like nung sa CHED, nag-trending ang CHED.
Flexible learning.
Gusto ng CHED na
Flexible
i-push
learning.
ang flexible learning. Nag-trending ang CHED sa Twitter and maraming napukaw sa tweets sa Twitter dahil nag-trending yung hashtag na yun. So, I think social movement does not limit to face-to-face only but also to the social media platforms.
Okay, thank you, Pogs. Diba? Nung after nag-PMC, merong kasama tayo na nag-share ng na sabay-sabay, nag-encourage na magsabay-sabay report sa account ni Mocha Oson.
Yes.
Tama lagi.
May mass signing.
Ay, may mas signing pagid gali to?
Oh.
Face-to-face yon siya, itong sa may Senate kita, or online? Online, wala. Ang mass signing ng ABS ang ABS, ang na-try ko, pero wala siya nag-successful. So,
Mass signing for the, aside from Mocha Oson at that time daw tong sa BOL pata.
Okay. Okay, oo nga naman, no. So, oo, sadya ang social movement. Okay. Questions, clarification from from the listener. Jenny, may clarification ka? Kadil?
Wala na, ma'am.
Wala. Bago bugtaw ang tingog niya, oh. Hala.
Ma'am.
Ara nag-abot ang maramara. Dali lang gid class. Okay. Sige. Basi intermission lang basi may mga mara-mara ka mo dira no. Gabakal gali ang bana ko sang mara-mara. Okay, sige. Question, Miss Quinones. Daw malaka-naka ang pagsulod naton, Miss Quinones, no? Miss Laluyan, how about you?
Wala na, ma'am. Clear, ma'am.
Clear.
Understandable.
Kagbusog ka na. Miss Palmes, wala ka mo...
Sa gabangatag, lapit na ng beer na beer, diri pa
Ay, no? Miss Palmes, you have question, dira, together with Miss Kadil?
Wala na, ma'am.
Wala na. Miss Hinsoy? Miss Hinsoy?
Wala na, ma'am.
Si Tabsing, ara pa di?
Wala na, ma'am.
O, wala na. So, meaning,
Ma'am.
ay, Tabs! Sorry. So, Miss Hinsoy, so meaning naintindihan natin ang presentation made ni Vincent. Pasahi man ko di pagkaon lols. Ha? Naintindihan natin ha? Kaya wala na sa question clarification. Mga ano lang good, mga kuro-kuro, wala gidira. Tabs, ikaw, do you have question? Clarification?
Wala na, ma'am.
Wala na. Okay. Wala na. Ikaw, Vincent King. May ara ka pa mangkot sa classmate mo?
Wala na, ma'am.
Wala na lang para matapos na.
Naintindihan man guro nila.
Malalaman sa Google Docs.
Sa Google
Oo.
Docs ang yan malalaman.
Oo, dali lang. Before tato pa istoryahon si Pugoy kag si Kuya Pugoy kag si Kuya Lloyd. Ako may question ako. Dapat may question ka dapat. Siling mo anong nakuha doon sa video na ginplay. Kaya ako nag-take note. Gid ako. How about others?
Gani, nag-take note man ko pa.
Sige, anything na lang na ma-share nyo about,
Mo sa details dito sa video ba?
oo, like, without civil society, there is a huge inequality. Siling niya na.
Yeah.
And parang naisip ko na nga, why not let us civil society rule the country na lang and not the government? Pwede ba?
Uy, ma'am, may araman ko sa naisip na habang nag-report si Bidwin, may
Oo.
araman ko sa form, mga question sa utak ko.
Oo, sige, amo na ihambal.
Sabihin mo.
Okay.
Kaya hambal, hindi ba siya kaya ano, ma'am? Pero nang hambal mo, di ba, what if kung sila na lang ang
Oo.
hambal ko man, naisip ko man, nabigyan pa na nga possibility. Naisip ko man nga, hindi man di ba tanan gyapon abi nga changes is good for the country.
Yes.
Kailangan mo pag-isipan.
Oo. And that when you join a civil society and social and do a social movement, you make sure nga you know kung ano ang ipinaglalaban nila. Hindi nga para nakita ko lang sa video kagaina ba si or sa kahit sa EDSA naman 'di ba EDSA 2. Tanungin mo sila, nagaano ka mo diri? Wala, ginbaydan lang kami ka nagsali kami diri. Oh, kuma muna siya. Yun bago sulod. But they know the reason what does the movement behind. Di ka nagupod-upod lang just para magpadamo kay di ba hambal nila is kaya nga may ara kita nga ng quantity over quality. Nagaula na dira. Tapos pero naisip ko rin King na tong hambal nga ng why not rule let civil society rule na lang sa country pero naghambal man sila dito nga there should be a collaboration. Kaya di ba Lloyd kung ano ang hindi makaya sang gobyerno ginakuha sang Red Cross?
Yes, ma'am.
Oo. Kaya mali yung ganito mantra nga always there, always first, always ready, always there. Dapat hindi ganun Lloyd, no? Nagasabat si Lloyd, Oh, sige.
Hindi ko ba...
Ha? Ano, Lloyd?
Hindi ko balaan.
Ay, hindi mo balaan. Narinig ko lang din kasi somewhere na volunteer ng Red Cross amo nang hambal. Dahil lang gid.
Resources
Ha?
sa facility.
Ano naga?
Resources kay
Ano Lloyd?
resources kay sa facility kay what if mag-respond ka sa isa ka bagay nga ang dala mo lang tanan lawas mo mano
Ma-Facebook Live. Charing. Tapos, naisip ko rin King ba ng Maging promoter ba ng communism ang civil society and social movement?
Somewhat oo, ma'am.
Pero yung
Some extent siguro.
oo, pero yung good explanation ng communism, hindi ng iya ka NPA, hindi amo sina ng mga bribe ka and
Yes,
all.
ma'am.
Oo. Kay sa Philippines abi, 'di ba? Pag ginhambal nila nga communism, NPA dayon, hindi nila nauunawaan na ang communism it's about equality.
Ginaano abi nanda, ma'am, sa Philippines abi, ma'am, uso abi ang stereotyping.
Oo. Oo.
Like ang mga activist
Mm.
gina-accuse nanda nga mga terrorists.
Yes, mga red
where
tag
in fact
na
they
dayon.
just fight for the rights of the people.
Mm. Oo. Amo na nga dapat ma-educate gid.
Kag example Japon sa tutong kay Ana Patricia noon,
Oo.
ang iya abi nga nga community pantry is is for the people eh.
Mm.
Pero ang iban nga officials gina-question nga isa siya ka nga communist party daw siya
Oo,
na
sympathizer.
member siya ng NPA.
Oo.
Gina-accuse nila si Ana Patricia noon na abusador where in fact ang gusto niya naman matabo is makabulig sa community niya. Dito pag sila nangaki kay mas damo na influence si Ana Patricia noon na mag-imo Japon sa community pantry.
Oo, kasi may post na lang kita class kay educational purposes man ni siya pero i-upload ko abi ni siya base kung lain na naman ang meaning sini.
Ikat
Okay.
mo na lang, ma'am.
Gani, yun din ikakat ko gid man. Oo no, bakit ba kasi kat nga si Rindon vlog gani atong si Tiay Magda gani sininggit gani to kagaina sa may Surigao sang Jamagno nga maestro man gyapon to siya. Nga akong dire ang maestro dire ginapatawag din sa division how.
Gani.
Hugot pogs.
Hindi pa kabalo mag-tolerate ang tao diri, ma'am.
Kaya nga tuod gid, ambot
Post ka na lang, kid, ma'am.
nalanggid. Okay, meron pa ko the question. Sa tingin mo, may mga personal motives or biases ba ang mga social movement and civil society? Or for the common good lang gid na siya? They just do it for common good.
Despite sa ginapaglaban ng common
Oo.
of course, tao lang man Japon na we are made of evil and good.
Yes.
So, in every act, syempre, hindi ka na maiwasan nga may arasang bahid
Oo.
ng personal motives. Aminon taman na kag sa hindi may ara gina sang sa kada decision sa kinabuhi sa kada ginasalihan ta may ara kita sang personal motive.
Oo. No. Si Id, si Ego, kag si Super Ego.
Yes.
Okay. So if there's no question na, naintindihan naman ang civil society and social movement, no? We will take this opportunity for Kuya Lloyd to talk about Philippine Red Cross and Roel Pugoy for the Lead Philippines. So mauna na si Lloyd. Okay lang, Pogs?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, sige, go Lloyd.
May pasyad ko nga video i-try kung mag-play.
Oy, matendance gali danay ko. Yes, oo. Sige, try ang pag-present sa video, Lloyd. Tamad-tamad man mag-explain, ma-video gid man siya. Okay. Yes, while preparing, do not forget to go to the group and answer our attendance. Palagi, Lloyd.
Dali lang.
Ah, okay, okay.
Zile zile, zile zile, yo alergyal, mile mile, mile mile.
Oh, well, waiting. Istorya man ka mo, class. Matulugan ka mo, class. Ma'am, diri na lang ko mamati kay Je. Oo, ganing man. Oo, man tana sa imo. Dalawa of the night ka mo dira. Nagsulod-sulod ka mo sa kanya-kanya.
Hindi na kami, nag-break kami kadali. Malakas sa akon.
Ah, okay. Abi ko danay ka mo dalawa.
Muli sa balay nila.
Ah, sa diin sa Takurong yapon ka mo?
Hindi kapitbahay lang.
Takurong.
Oo, ma'am.
Di sa Takurong.
Kayambanan.
Din pa siya.
May makita, ma.
Oo ga, makita. You're showing your... Basta mo to. Miss Laluya, napatapos mo kagaina ang kwan? Oh, ara na si Chairman Gordon. Okay. Sige, ara na. Wala lagi tigog, Lloyd. Auto-rotate, Lloyd. Auto-rotate para lapad.
Kanta na pa.
Oh, we are one and we stand together.
May kanta.
Kanta na.
Wala gani kanta.
Di ba mo may kanta na?
Oo. We are one and we stand together. Amo na siya.
Amo na memorize ko.
Wala music.
Ay, Lloyd, waay. Si King lang gid ang makapa-music, Lloyd. Sige lang, kung hindi, wag siya mag-music. At least makita man ang kwan niya. Makita man ang video niya. Sige lang, hayaan mo na, pa-play mo na.
Actually, nila siya sa game, ha.
Ay, nagalihim? Ay, may audio. Ganon. Ah, sige lang, ah. Walang tawad nyo lang. Naadtoan na namo na siya dira, oh.
Jenny na lang makanta. Sina ma'am ay balaan niyo pa na.
Oh, nalakta na namo na siya. Ano ga na dira, oh? Ano ga tawag sa na office ka na, ah? Si palaybay. Liwat, Lloyd, ah!
Iluwat ko kay Ari.
Ha?
Si Ann.
Waay! Ara na! Liwat. May gamay, liwat, ah. Nara, may gambal. Tuduha. Putol. Sige lang, liwata.
Red Cross remains independent and wide generally, a class of its own, and an organization that is of ability to provide premier humanitarian services in the country. The Red Cross traces back its origins from the time of the independence. It was during the Lawrence Republic that the Constitution of the National Association of the Red Cross was approved. In 1905, the Philippine branch of the Red Cross was the American National Red Cross. From America, President Manuel Rojas initiated to establish an independent Philippine National Red Cross. In 1947, the Philippine National Red Cross was officially inaugurated. In 1954, the Philippine National Red Cross launched its first service together with the Department of Health. Both organizations signed an agreement for the processing and distribution of blood plasma. With the reorganization plan of 1965, the blood bank service, nursing service,
Police Service were added to PNRC services. By the end of the 1960s, 11 more chapters were added, making its network grow into 59 chapters. In 1981, the Philippine National Red Cross headquarters in Manila was inaugurated. In 1992, the Philippine National Red Cross responded to the calamity brought about by the eruption of Mount Pinatubo. Deca Olongapo City Mayor Richard Gordon also extended assistance and support to help evacuees. Under his chairmanship, the Philippine National Red Cross has responded to a plethora of natural disasters and calamities. From tragedies that shocked the nation to the various typhoons that ravaged the country. The Philippine National Red Cross was always ready to help those in 2000, Chairman Richard Gordon initiated Project 143, I Love Red Cross. In 2008, an RT 153 outlined the Chamber Operational. In 2010, the Budget Act number 10072, authored by Chairman Richard Gordon, was officially signed into law. In 2013, the Philippine Red Cross mobilized its staff volunteers to respond to one of the country's biggest disasters. PRC Chairman Richard Gordon led the inauguration of the Philippine Red Cross Tower at Lumita Beach in Headstone. In the span of 3 years, PRC has built 57,000 shelters and 514 classrooms, and rehabilitated and reconstructed 85 health facilities for the victims of Typhoon Haiyan. Despite its modest beginnings, the Philippine Red Cross continues its impressive track record of providing remarkable humanitarian services through its volunteers, logistics, and information technology. To date, PRC has a network of 103 chapters nationwide, operated by more than 1,000 professional staff and over 1 million trained volunteers. PRC's Tower, it also has numerous facilities with different services. In times of calamity and emergency, the Philippine Red Cross has at its disposal calamity and emergency, the Philippine Red Cross has at its disposal hundreds of rescue equipment and emergency vehicles distributed nationwide. This year, on its 70th anniversary, the Philippine Red Cross welcomes the arrival of the country's first and largest humanitarian ship, the Philippines. The 195-foot military prototype vessel served as a sea ambulance and rescue and evacuation vessel in Canada. Serve as organization rapid transport vessels for Red Cross response. Both service organizations, the Philippine Red Cross has organized different services to address the various needs of the nation in times of disasters and emergencies. The Philippine Red Cross created a volunteer program under the volunteer services that will involve the community by making them the organization's eyes, ears, hands, and feet during times of need. Red Cross 103 or Red Cross Iowa aims to recruit and train 143 members from every barangay to promote self-help and create a network of highly trained volunteers that will predict potential risks and prepare and respond appropriately in times of catastrophe.
That's what allows the Filipino not to be dependent. 143 and the volunteer system allows a Filipino to say, it allows him to forget his own problem because he's helping somebody else in bigger problem. So, everybody, for and everybody, working brands have now a sense of pride, a culture of volunteer. If you say, keep building a country. A country, people are willing to help without being paid.
The Red Cross Youth Service Program was designed for youth aged 7.5 years old with a passion for humanitarian activities, who look to be trained in delivering essential services to those in need.
People will take over my job. So people will take over the job of DMS. The people were teaching to make sure that they can help others as they go. I don't have to be in the regulars all the time, but in parts. To teach them to be leaders. That's important.
Another essential service of Philippine Red Cross is the blood services.
We're able to process, make sure the blood is safe. It's a good quality with an ISO in our blood bank. And so today, we're doing our station for blood. We will provide the blood for our need and life.
PRC's blood services also works on educating, and promoting voluntary donation and handles donor recruitment, retention and care, collection and testing, processing, and issuing. Education is the good of the PRC service during emergency and disaster situations.
Just a few weeks operation, but the more we decide to do this, there's a lot of to really plan, prepare, this, to the big goal, to do and everything, and also those letters, you have to report. So we know how to support the field with what they need.
As part of emergency and disaster operations, AMF has been mission built to build the capacity of communities to minimize the risk and immediately cope and recover after the impact of disaster.
EMS is supposed to be really in the form of housing, recovery in the form of livelihood.
The health services of the Philippine Red Cross extend its primary health care coverage to the community-based community.
Hospital the hospital, MOU, the doctor, no, how much blood they need.
And one goal is PRT safety. Educate the nation to ensure public safety through ambulance and services.
From January to April this year, of today, we administered 17,000 cases of people needing ambulance services. Either we brought them to the hospital or we ministered to them in first aid. And that's only about 230 cases.
It conducts different training programs and also offers different rescue services. Welfare services focuses on giving psychosocial support and improving well-being, support and healing of individuals and families. Help in their physical.
So it's after the temperature test. So when people are in an evacuation center, so you know, what are the concerns?
The Philippine Red Cross has touched millions of lives in the course of its existence, from the volunteers down to its administrators.
Dahil sa Philippine Red Cross, natusumabong konde sa panahon ng sakot at kalamidad. Dahil sa Red Cross, tutuwa ko tingin kami pang
Ito ay pagi ko sa aking komunidad ang kalpitan sa pagkamugan.
Kapag ganito sa pagkatataon, naman yung patuloy ng taong na. Dahil sa Red Cross, tutulungan namin ng mga taong na makapagpapita, meron na sa kuna at iba pa mga dahil sa Philippine na pagkakataon sa pagkakang proseso na maging kabahami sa pamimigay ng tulong.
The Mexican Army volunteers, the Philippine Red Cross, will continue to follow a roadmap to ensure the timely and effective responses in alleviating human suffering.
I mean, we're going to go and find something new. Sources new, so you get more input. Can't be retired if you don't care.
As the former humanitarian organization, the Philippine Red Cross continues to play a vital role in society.
That's actually acceptable, right? Vulnerable, poor. Red Cross is there when there's a task at first aid, not very safe. The Red Cross is there even for education. You form the kids, the values,
on how to become a man's image.
Because of the significance of CRC services, the organization reiterates the importance of significant participation in support of the project of PRC.
Exposure to all our services are due to help save lives. Giving the opportunity to the blood, helping us, simply doing the blood, helping us to operation. While there are others, you know, I want to ask.
The Philippine Red Cross recognizes the importance of its donors and volunteers.
The Red Cross is the donor effective.
Counting the cost. That is the right question.
The more members they have, the more members we have, the more service we are able to provide, the more lives we are able to save.
The Philippine Red Cross continues to embody the essence of the country's foremost humanitarian organization.
Forget. Not look at the people who are serving. We just do because there is need to do.
The Philippine Red Cross celebrates its 70th year with a team kung buong taon na sa loob ng magsasaki ng kapwa-tao.
John Lord, speak up. Nobody forces you. They're volunteers. You're second. You're dedicated. You are compassionate and you're dedicated that you don't need people. Kapwa tao. That's your effort. You're compassionate. God made you, not for yourself. God made you.
The Red Cross will continue to stand on its commitment to be always first, always ready, and always there during the week.
Okay. Naintindihan nyo man? Kisa ako abi putol-putol, pero okay lang. About dara sa iban.
Okay na.
Naintindihan nyo man ng ang istorya, ang ano na siya, narration? Or putol-putol man ang sa inyo? Putol-putol, ma'am. Okay, sige lang. Explain na, liwat ni Lloyd. May hambal ka pa, Lloyd? Of course.
Ay na, char lang. Wait lang. Ano ko lang, isummary ko lang ang di percent. So, sa presentation, makita nyo man nga kung anong ginahit ni Red Cross, kung ano sa Red Cross, nakakara sa Red Cross nag-exist sa aton nga country. So, si Red Cross, isa siya sa, actually, si Red Cross, hindi siya na-classified as a, civil society or, with the topic natin. So, binabasa kong article according to the publisher, the FRC, which is the Red Cross International. It is a international organization, but it is not a civil society organization. It's because they are also a auxiliary to the public authorities of their countries, such as to maintain a dialogue with governments based on the acknowledgement by the government of this status. So hindi siya hindi siya kasali sa mga civil societies, but it is a classification niya, Abby. The Red Cross is a humanitarian organization. Yan yung classification niya yun lang yung mapaperceive kasi ng mga tao na mostly sa mga tao, the Red Cross classified or they perceive as a government or NGO, governmental organization. But the truth is, the Red Cross is not a government organization or nor hindi siya non-governmental or civil society. It is a unique, a class of its own, a Unitarian organization.
A class of its own, a unique organization. However, Lloyd, 'di ba, ang commonality Manila Abbey sa civil society is kung sino ang gina-cater nga clientele.
Amo lang na siya ang same sila sang objectives, sang mission, kumaga gina-deal, pero ang lead ang classification niya in terms of mabalik naman kita abi sa mga legalities, mga organization considered gid siya as a humanitarian organization. Kay iba ang classification ng civil societies sa Red Cross. Kaya ang sa civil societies abi may sa bawat lugar may ara sa civil society sabi, di ba, registered dapat na siya sa isa ka country. Tama ba?
Oo. Oo.
May research ko, ang the civil society is registered in region. Dira may mga PDF na siya. So, dito makita ang mga different civil societies in particular region. So, dapat sa pag-create ng civil societies, dapat na-meet yung mga qualifications ang pagiging isa ka civil societies. So, si Red Cross, isa siya ka international organization nga kumbaga hindi siya kasali dito sa civil societies nga ara sa per region kay kumbaga may iba-ibang qualification each country. Si Red Cross sabi international organization siya.
That is ancillary to the government.
Auxiliary to the government siya.
Auxiliary.
Like the Philippines, as always nga gina-present para maintindihan, sa isa ka lamesa, di ba may apat ka katiil. So, ang isa dira si Red Cross. In times of emergency, the government will act first. But pag hindi na makaya sa government, pwede makabulig ang Red Cross. Kung ano tong kulang, naging provide ni government, si Red Cross ang mag-fill in sang dapat nga ibulig dito, sang need sang tao.
Okay. May dugang ka pa ba, Ida Lloyd? Amo lang to.
No. Man. Dapat mo ba silang...
May pamangkot pa ka mo? Clarification. So sabi hindi siya civil society. Hindi siya civil society and social movement pero nga ara siya diri. My purpose is just that I believe kasi sa organization mission kag vision nila that the point nga ang ginabuligan ay ang tao. Amo na nga gin-invite ko si Lloyd to talk about Philippine Red Cross or the Red Cross itself. May hambal pa, Lloyd?
Oo, amo na siya, Abi. Ang sa niya, ang clientele niya is the community the most vulnerable.
Alleviate
Pero,
human
to
pain. Human suffering. Oo. Sige. Okay, continue.
May dapat to ba silang balaan?
Sige, amo na lang ni okay lang mamati ka mo how did Lloyd started with Red Cross? Are you interested to know how did he started with Red Cross? Kasi hindi man lang magkalayo ang inyong age gap, di ba? Pila ka na, Lloyd? Gani, 20 21?
22.
22. And some of you are 18, 17 ka mo. Oh yes, Ma'am Siling ni Gumban. Hello, Norsalik Kalipa. Salamat sa paghabol. Okay. Sige, Lloyd. Kindly tell us to them your story.
Charot.
Oo.
Sige. Year 2012, grade 7 kasi na that time. For grade 7, may nag-recruit sa Red Cross Youth. Siyempre, first time ko na diri sa baba, sa Isulan National High School. That time, 2012. Siyempre, manol pa ko sa organization. Kapag present, ay amunit na. So, ang perception ko that time na magsali sa organization is, kumbaga ang ara sa isip ko is mga bayaran, mga practice, mga musina. So, that time, hindi ko kaayo engage sa amusina kay sa bukid abi. Wala sa organization nga amo na, wala sang club. So, kung baga na culture shock ko, pag abot ko sa diri sa Isulan National High School, pag grade 7 ko, na may amugali na diri, may amugali sina. So, grade 7, wala ko sang organization engagement, purely academic. So, that time, pag grade 7, pag end sang school year, na-shock man ko kay dito ko nalaglag ka sa sa extracurricular activities. So, wala ko sang points dito. So, dito, pagka grade 8, nag-start ang akon nga journey sa pag-join sang organization. Nag-start ko as a member sa Red Cross Youth Isulan National High School Council. Dito nag-start nga nagsali sa mga activities ni Red Cross, nag-training, nag-leadership training, and other trainings. Grade 9, dito na naging officer na ko for special committee yata to siya. Dito, may activities na engaged sa provincial, kag outside sa school, hindi lang sa school, may ara na sa outside. So, dito ko na-realize nga ang hindi lang dapat academic ang atubangon sa school, dapat i-balance ang academic kag ang extracurricular activities para ma-meet ang isa ka grade or isa ka need mo ma-meet as a student. So, pagka grade 10 ko, syempre, president ako sa that time sang Red Cross Youth, di ba? From wala sang engagement to the president sa isa na ka-organization. So, ito, president na ako sina that time, grade 10, 2015, 2016, president na ako sina that time. Tapos, dito nag-open ang opportunity nga may National Youth Congress. So, sa National Youth Congress, na siya, syempre, ang excitement nga sa Mandaluyong City ang NYC. So syempre ang excitement nga makalakat sa Manila, siya, gusto mo makalakat sa isa ka prestigious nga convention sang mga youth sa Red Cross. So dito nastikman kami kapang solicit para lang makalakat sa NYC. Nakalakad kami sa NYC for how many days kami sa Manila, na-explore ang tanan ng first time magsakay sa airplane, first time mag-train, tanan, first time maglakad sa House of Representatives, sa opisina ni Pinay, tanan, nalakta namon ang different youth ang Red Cross Youth in the country, different youth, makita mo dito ang iba-ibang mga personality, iba-ibang schools, mga prestigious schools, the Ateneo, the UP schools, ara dito ng mga Red Cross Youth. amo to isa sa mga prestige nga nga activities ni Red Cross nga ko na encounter in my life charot. Tapos 20 grade 11, grade 12 daw na medyo nag-limit ang engagement kay siyempre nag-adjust sa bag-o nga curriculum pero still active gapon sa school ang Red Cross. Siyempre ara gapon ko ang mobile blood donation, mga musika until nga may different trainings gapon there is sa regional and sa province until I graduated sa grade 12 hasta na continue pag first year college October 25 ay before ang nagko-GT gali kami sa gapon sa Red Cross tatlo lang kami during my immersion sa grade 12 so December to siya 2016 I think yun siya yun ay 2018 ano na kay 2018 ko nag-graduate sa grade 12 so 2018 March to July ginapabalik kami sa office ng Red Cross sa Sugan Kudara chapter. So wala kami nagbalik kay syempre busy sa pag-comply as a freshman, budlay mag-adjust sa college. So pero ginpatawag ko balik sa Red Cross October mga 14 yata, October 14 or 15 para maglakad dito tapos dito ginistorya akong ni chapter administrator may offer siya sa akon nga isa ka opportunity nga kumbaga daw part-time staff aid sa Red Cross. So dito, grab ko ang opportunity nga sa subong ara gapon. So subong engage sa Red Cross, naka-experience ang different trainings, nakapakagayan ko for my first time nga nagbiyahe nga ako lang isa. Nag-training for how many days, for 10 days, mga musina naka-handle sa mga bata sa isa ka camp nga budlay i-handle. Diyos ko. Sakit sa ulo pag camp. Ano pa ba? So, wala ko i-share daw. Tamo naman. Okay naman.
Amo na to siya. So you're in Red Cross for how many years now?
Start from 2014 as I start to as a Red Cross youth until
Di mga 7 or 8 years? 6 years?
Na ini mag 7?
Oo.
Mag 7 years.
Pila sweldo mo, Lloyd? Joke.
Basta may ginadawat
Oo, hindi siya sweldo. Ano tawag sa to, Lloyd? I-reveal ko gid rin, no?
Honorarium.
Honorarium to siya. No work, no pay. No, Lloyd, no? Oo. Nga daw mo kwartang Red Cross, Lloyd, daw.
Ambot ni ko man na batsyagan.
Hindi kagaya sa video, di ba? How many amphibian, how many trucks, ambulance, motorcycle. Tapos kapag papagin nilang office.
Amo na siya, si Red Cross, di ba wala siya sang fund kaya ginagawa sa government. So siya, rely lang siya sa public donation, sa foreign aid. May araman nabi kita sa national societies kung sa diin ang national societies nato naga-contribute sa dagko nga fund. More on sila billions or millions sila naga-donate sa kay Red Cross, sa Philippine Red Cross. Like kung may disaster, si national societies, the other national societies, kung kaya nilang donate, makadonate sila sa kwarta. Like, halimbawa, kung Canada or Canada, Red Cross, nag-donate sila previously ito sa Raleigh. Tapos, may mga organization man, like sa Toyota. Ang Toyota lately, nag-donate yata siyang, I think, 10 sa motor, mga sina. May mga partnership abi siya sa nagkukuan gyapon organization nga naga-donate.
Okay. So what's the response or the action made by the Philippine Red Cross ta karong ay isultan ko dara chapter sa recent lang nga baha diri sa amon. Char. Sa Lambayong and all mga low-lying areas.
May action ang aton nga chapter with regard sa baha na diri. Hindi ba nabi maka-action kaayo si Red Cross Sultan Kudarat because of wala sang resources nga maayo. Pero sa Red Cross nag-action gyapon, assessment si Red Cross sa Bagumbayan. Sa particularly sa Malinawon yata, Malinawon ba dira.
Ambala,
May diwang.
ambala si Madam lakat man siya diri sa amon o char. Pero naisip ko din kasi hindi man din ganun ka kon gid ah.
Oo. Nag-conduct sila dito sang evacuation with the partnership sang MDRRM sang Bagumbayan. Wala abi kita sang sang resources di kaayo mo nang lika ang aton nga DMS.
And then also COVID, di ba?
Oo,
Busy sa COVID, saliva collection.
Oo, saliva collection.
Okay, sige. Thank you very much, Lloyd. Oo. Gusto mo dugangan ang Red Cross experience niya, Rowel Pugoy? Before proceeding to lead PH, ha? Ano idugang mo? During your immersion.
Okay.
Anong ginagawa ng punuhay magpolsay sa Red Cross?
Scam. Okay. Anyways, my Red Cross experience started, late na actually, grade 11. Yeah. Because hindi ako ganun active to other organizations in school at that time. So not until when I was in grade 11.
Pogs.
Na, yes, ma'am.
Because ang mga taga-SPED ay may mga sariling mundo.
Yes. Yes. May sarili kanyang mundo. So, when I was in grade 11, go to grade 12, may immersion, di ba? So, ang immersion ko at that time, kaya wala man COVID, so na-assign ko sa Philippine Red Cross, so tanong ko doon at the current chapter. Dito pa to sa old office actually. Sa likod sa may sa may City Hall banda. So, dito ako first na experience sa Red Cross. Na-assign ko sa actually Byzantine lang kami na-assign. Pero actually, usually dito sa office, hindi naman ganun ka talaga ang trabaho. Hindi man siya among super very busy. Especially pag wala mang kayo emergencies or wala mang kayo But ito siya first na-introduce sa akon ang different activities na ginahimo ni Red Cross na kasi aminin na-impose kasi ang ID natin sa Red Cross on the blood services. So dito na-introduce na it's not just about blood. There are different services na in-offer ni Red Cross. That's all.
Okay, thank you very much. Lang, siya. Sige. Para ka pa? Oo, mo to siya. Now, amo lang to? Wala na? O, sabagay. Amo lang mga abi. Okay. Now, he will talk again. Kuya Rowel will talk again. Sa different naman siya, it's all about Lead PH. I do not know if you're familiar with Lead PH. Sila diri ang nakita na sa Facebook ang activities ni Lead PH. Anyone sa inyo nakita sa Facebook, sa Jenny? Okay. Sige. Let's hear your Kuya Rowel Pugoy to talk about Lead Philippines. Huwag ka nag-prepare sang slides mo da? Sang video mo da?
Wala na, ma'am.
O, sige.
Okay, so good afternoon again. Lead Philippines, our Leaders of Excellence Alliance for Development Philippines, is a non-profit, non-government organization that is actually founded with the belief that the youth is the youth plays an important role in the community, thus in nation building. So actually, ang NGO ngayon is youth-led at saka ang main objective nila is to foster the youth to better serve the community, especially in different areas and sectors of the community. So, ayun. Thank you, ma'am. So, Lead Philippines, ang primary goals gid ng Lead Philippines is to actually hone the youth, their skills, their talents, their abilities to better serve their respective community. It's a non-profit organization, therefore hindi siya pera-pera, hindi siya, I mean, if you're, pag mag-enter kayo ng Lead Philippines, we do not have any, we do not ask for any amount or anything. So, ayun siya. We also promote engagement, empowerment, and empowerment for sustainable future. So, Lead Philippines, as of today, is actually working on with different government and non-government organizations, not just in Sultan Kudarat, but also we're working with international NGOs to better serve communities. One of the programs of Lead Philippines is yung katatapos lang na #Lead 101, that's a leadership training held to different youth of Sultan Kudarat actually. So, actually not just Sultan Kudarat kasi may ibang mga taga Maguindanao at that time. Actually, may mga taga South Coast pero hindi lang nakadating. So, the main objective talaga ng Lead Philippines, why this founded, was nakikita na yung youth empowerment at saka yung pakikialam ng youth in the community or yung activeness ng youth in the community is hindi siya masyadong nakikita at nararamdaman. So, because youth are one of the most powerful sectors of the community, they took up a large population in the community, and with unifying voices, they can really make change in the community. So actually, ang pag-found ng Lead Philippines is hindi naman siya by accident, but it is not actually planned. Kasi at that time, actually bago lang ang Lead, it was just founded February of this year, February of 2021. But just a small group discussion, which eventually led to the founding of the Leaders of Excellence Alliance for Development Philippines. So, at this point, we are fostering young leaders of Sultan Kudarat. So, we have actually 19 graduates of our #Lead 101. And that first batch of #Lead 101 has a lot of opportunities coming through their ways. Kasi we are working out with partnership with the European Union as well as with Equal Access International Philippines and with the Bangsamoro Youth Parliament and the Bangsamoro Youth Organization. So, at saka we're also working with an NGO in Cotabato, which is the Magnanimous Young Leaders. So, we are planning na baka, hopefully, pag wala na masyadong COVID, we can work with another set of
Nadula si Pugoy. Nagipo siya how. Wala pa man siya. Na-slow mo? Oh, you can visit the Facebook page of the Lead Philippines kung curious ka mo. If you want to. Wala na siya nagbakal. Tapos Tapos na siya. So, kung nakita yung nawong ko da, medyo bias lang siya, no? Kay nang ara ang nawong ko, ara ko da. Because I'm part of the group. I'm the adult in the group that serves as their advisor. Muna nga siguro mahambal sa iban sa inyo nga bias ako when I invited Philippine Red Cross and lead PH to talk about these things. Though related naman siya as a real example of civil society. O, nag-join, nadula gid man siya. Pogs,
Yes, ma'am.
nadula ka gid man. O, sige.
Oo.
Any more addition? You're working with youth groups in Cotabato.
Yeah. We're working with different groups in Mindanao and in Cotabato, especially in Farm. We are partnering with the Bangsamoro youth organizations there, Bangsamoro Youth Parliament, and as of the moment, we're working out na ang partnership with the Magnanimous Young Leaders that is based in Cotabato. We're also working with different organizations in Lanao, the Ranao and the Kaliklintat organization. So, yeah. So that's also part of Equal Access. So hopefully by the end of or for the end of this month or next month, we would have our first stakeholders meeting with the different partnered organizations in not just in Sudan but in the country. Yun lang. If you have any questions, you can ask.
If you have questions, you can ask Kuya Roel. If you have curious, kung may mga curious, kamo dira nga mga ano pamangkot,
Yeah.
he's willing to answer. Ay na question? Wala? Clarification? Wala na? Wala na question? Clarification? Wala?
Actually,
Yes, Janeline.
Ma'am,
May pamangkot ka?
wala.
Wala. Okay. Yes po. Sorry. Yes, Pogs.
actually some of the people here in the meet are actually part of Lead Philippines na. Si Jenny,
Ay, ugali no?
actually,
Si Kalipa.
Kalipa. Yeah,
Oo.
they're part of Lead Philippines na.
Okay. Sige, go.
And in baka sabihin nyo leadership training, it's actually the other kind of leadership training because my assessment and my product ang lead hashtag lead 101. Sa hashtag lead 101 kasi lahat ng participants namin were given the opportunity to create and conduct their own project implementation in their specific community. So as of the moment, out of 6 projects that were presented last March, 4 na ang wini-work out. Isa doon ay nagawan na ng documentary at it's on its way to finalization na. Yung isang documentary doon sa isang project na pinasa ay ipapasa sa European Union hopefully by tomorrow. So that's actually one of the milestones of our graduates for the hashtag Lead 101.
Kaya hindi ta ka makontak ora-orada. Kaya mo itong gina-workout nyo.
Yeah.
Okay. What leads to creating or having, saan nang galing yung idea mo of having Lead PH?
Okay. Actually, the one that inspires me to create Lead Philippines is actually the one that I experienced at Equal Access International Philippines. That's also a non-government non-profit organization that is actually based on Washington, D.C., but they have satellite office here in the Philippines. It's in Cagayan de Oro. So actually, guys, it was by accident. By accident ba? Apply for, for their tech camp at that time. That's March of 2017 or 2016, 2017.
2017.
2017, yeah, of 2017. Kasi, minention lang ako ni Ma'am Ira on a Facebook post to apply for a tech camp in Cagayan. So actually, I don't have any idea about the organization, about what I am applying for. At saka, I am not really that interested at that time. So, nag-apply lang ako. And then, kasi nga, minention. And then, two of us had applied sa lahat ng minention ni Ma'am Ira. Two of us had applied si Christian. So, dalawa ang nag-respond to the call. And nag-apply lang. Actually, it's an essay. It's demographic profiles, essays, leadership background. And then, parang wala na. Yun na, nag-apply lang ako. And then one day, I received a call from them and an email na informing me that I am qualified for the next round of selection, which is actually an interview. Dalawa kami ni Christian. So, kita na ang chat mo din mo. So, yun, nag-apply ako for that tech camp and then nag-interview. Tapos, during the interview, wala din akong idea kung ano talaga yung organizations. And then, it was actually my first time to travel alone outside of the region. So, that's in Cagayan de Oro for 7 days straight training. At saka, graduating ako at that time, the problem there was, 1 week na lang is graduation day na. At saka, sinasabi nila, sabi sa amin ni Sir Doldolao is that, if you're willing to take the risk, I can let you go. Pero ikaw, kasi 1 week na lang graduation na. So, I said, yes sir, I'll take the risk to go out there. So, that's where I built up my passion in leadership, in youth empowerment, especially in peace and security. So, dagdag pa doon yung mga other engagement like TMC in Manila. So that actually brought me to a point of my life na where I realized na actually ang kabataan is actually more powerful than any other sectors in the community. Kasi nga if ang kabataan has enough knowledge how to use their strength, their capabilities, talaga marami silang magagawa. Actually, they are not lacking of the skills and talent. Just that they're lacking the chance. So that's what inspires us to create Lead Philippines. Yeah, that's Philippine Model Congress. Sura mo da, Ma'am Ben?
Layo ang taga National Security. Para ang nagawas Para ang nagawas nan. Di ba?
That is the benefit of the game.
PMC is bakit ako andyan sa PMC? Kay kagagawan din niya. So balos-balos lang na siya. We went to Manila without enough, as long as we just secure ticket. Go now, Kibarsa allowance.
Yeah. It's actually my first plane ride, my first Manila experience. For as long as you are willing to take risks, marami kang may experience in your life.
Oo. Sa report ni King kaina din ito nasulat diri kaina silin ko. In social movement, make sure lang na alam mo ang ginagawa mo at ipinaglalaban mo. Same with in joining activities such this, kung isipon mo wala ako kwarta, basi ano matabo sa akon, basi mag-crash ang plane. So hindi ka gid madayon, di ba? Kaya dapat gid ang ginaisip mo ang ginaisip is i-push through mo siya because you have goal to achieve kung ano man ang goals ang ginsalihan mo. Muna siya. Pila gani ang kwarta mo naglakat ikaw sa AAI? Okay, natawon ta ang Facebook sang AAI. Ano gani equal Ari, oh. Amo ni siya, lo.
Muna.
Amo naman ni siya ang... Wala rin akong kilala sa AAI. Ay, meron pala isa. Pero hindi ko alam kung what's the organization all about. Amo na siya. So, until today, active pa ba ang mga activities ng AAI?
Yes, ma'am, actually.
Oo. Last time... sige.
Sayang gani kay last December, they had another batch of tech camp. And I was sharing it on Facebook, hoping na another youth from SK or especially from International High School to apply at that time, because last December I was chosen as one of the moderators na for Equal Access International. So from applicant to tech camper to moderator. So sabi ko, sana may mag-apply because all of the essays ay dumadaan sa akin. So may bias, pero kung willing and another person naman sana from INHS, di ba? May flag bearer na sana na naman ang SK.
And, di ba,
And it's actually one...
di ba dapat one per province lang?
Not really.
Not really. But sa time ninyo, abi ko sa time ninyo, dapat one per province lang?
Dalawa kami ni Christian from SK actually. Sa time namin.
Okay. Any more? Mayara pa kita pamangkot dira.
And it's actually one way of building your network din. Kasi mas marami kang makikilang tao of different walks of life, different passion, different advocacies. So, yun.
How much did you spend in joining AAI?
I haven't spent anything. Sila pa ang nag-refund. When I went to AAI, to Cagayan, last March 2017, I had a pocket money of 3,000 pesos. And pag uwi ko from Cagayan after 7 days, I had almost 15,000 pesos in my pocket.
Kaya?
Kasi,
sige,
kasi aside from the refunding your pamasahe, the foods, you have also allowance. And you have also engagement. Like at our time, pumunta kami ng ABS-CBN. And yun, continue. If you are really willing enough. Just like for me, nagkaroon ng that's actually the one that paved way to the creation of the accredited Peace Education Club in Isula National High School. So that's actually that's the only recognized peace education club in the country that is accredited to an international organization. So because of INHS din, because of that Peace Education Club, I was nominated by Equal Access for the first ever Olive Peace Prize in the Philippines. So yun, that paved the way for me being chosen as one of the recipients for the Olive Peace Prize.
May mga pamangkot pa kamo? May mga pamangkot? Ako man lang namangkot sa inyo. If you're curious, you can PM Ruel Pugoy sa sunod if you want to join. Pero pag hindi siya nahambal, galing nga, after college, Pogs, where would you rather work? In public or in private? Or non-government?
Ano, ma'am?
Right after your graduation or as of the moment, yung naiisip mo, when you graduate, what's your plan? Work in the government, in private sector, or in the non-government organization?
Actually, in government kasi, yes, it's a given that the compensation is quite good than in NGO. But actually, if you really love what you're doing, it's not about the compensation. It's about the fulfillment. So I think I'd have better chances to be with NGO after I graduate.
Because you already build rapport, amo na siya. Kaya nga makita niyo man class nga ng very Americanized ang sana ang gustong mangyari ng Philippines na while doing senior high school nang you build already your rapport para after graduation meron na kayong pupuntahan. Hindi nga after graduation by college maghahanap pa kayo kung saan kayo pupunta. Amo man ang very essence ng education.
Yeah.
May mga question pa kamo dira? Clarification? Pamangkot? Waay na. Laluyan, do you have question? Waay?
Wala na po, ma'am.
Sure? Okay.
Apo.
Tabs, may pamangkot ka, Tabs? Waay, nawili na siya kakuan, pahugas pinggan. King! Natulugan na si King. Hinsoy?
Message a day before the training.
Ano, Pogs?
Si King nag-message ata siya.
Okay, nakita niya si Lenny. Oo, kaya nakita niya si Lenny.
Nag-message siya a day before the training.
Gusto mo i-reveal ko, King?
Ibus lang, ma'am.
Ang hambal ni mo malefisyado. Ano to, hambal na gani
Ibus gani, ma'am.
okay, mahipos na lang gani ko. Okay. O, diba, na-scam ka ni malefisyado, King?
Di man tanabi. Grabe man tinabi ng ura mo dati, ah.
Ala, sa bata lang, Pogs. Sa bata lang, Pogs.
Pertuod.
Ay, naku, matibay. Sige na, okay. Wala na, no? Okay na tayo. So, this ends our, ikapila na nga topic. Third to the last topic. But it's the last topic na student ang nag-report. Yehey! Congratulations! Na-survive nila. Kung makahambal ka, King, nga grabe ang aura ko, bakit ikaw? Wala ka gani isang groupmates? Di ba? Alam mo? Sige.
Di ba, ma'am, at least subong we vibe.
Di ba? Sige lang. Okay lang na siya. Mahangyo naman kuliwat, King, ng anong tawag sila? Open cam. Nag-left na group na si Pugoy. Open cam. Nag-left na group naman si Kuya Lloyd kay may surprise class daw sila. Open cam tayo, class. Open cam. Open camera. Hindi mo open cam ko man. Hindi ko open cam. Damo, di ko ganun pang gamit, Sige. O, diba? Ara ako sa tindahan sang nanay ko. Kaya kung dito ako sa likod, layo ang signal.
Open cam, Jen.
Jenny, open cam. Abin nyo no, si Jenny, si King lang ang familiar sa akon. Hindi familiar kay Laluyan. Si Tabsing, kay na estudyante ko ni siya. Si King, kay maliban sa SSG, utod siya ni King nga isa. Oo. Ganun ka rin ba kakulit sa kuya mo? Hindi. Pero generous ka din sa answer. Or madamot ka sa answer?
Ay, pag grade 11, wala kayo ko pangatag answer.
Ay, te. Yes, Miss Laluyan.
I-reveal ko, ma'am, mas dungol gid si Pinrin kaysa sa kuya niya.
Talaga?
Pasimple lang na siya, ma'am.
Oh, si ano? Hello po. Ara sa likod. Sino nang ara sa likod?
Ako, ma'am.
Hello, auntie. O, di ba nagkaklase ako, kaya hindi ikaw nag-answer sa module ni Rachel. Gitabunan niya si mama niya, uy, mantaling bata ka niya.
Kaya mo, busy na siya kay Rapi Tulpo.
Ay, unta, tibisyo mo, te. O, sige na, picture na kita kay... Oras na ba? Ay, tama 4. Miss Cadil, open cam. Yay! Ang ganda-ganda. Oh, siya lang isa ay, si Palmes, hi. Auto, ano sina i-rotate. Para dalawa ka mo kita. Nan. Ay, nag-left na si Bahog. Sige na, Gor. Picture ka na.
1, 2, 3. Okay na.
Okay, so, just wait na lang. Oh, tatay ko ara sa likod. Just wait, oh. Just wait for the the Google Docs. Ma-announce lang ako sa group naton for the assessment or evaluation on the topic legislative, judiciary, and decentralization. Damo gawa ba? Decentralization. Tapos ano tong isa gani last kahapon? Nature of election. Ala, 5 kabilog ang obrahan ko. My gosh. And subong kay Binbin. Okay? So, basi ma-post ko ni siya by Saturday para next week, whole week, amo na to siyang obrahon ninyo. Okay? Tapos, nabuang tanan ni si King kag si Miss Laluyan, ha? Tapos, have you already started, hello auntie, have you already started your 30 days challenge?
Yes, ma'am. Tanong mo.
Pa-sneak peek, pero na-record yun, na-document nyo, wala.
The document.
Oy, King, sige na. Ka sneak peek lang. Oh, very good, Miss Laluin. Mag-sneak peek ka mo, tapos i-upload nyo sa group kay para mag-teril sila. Kabalo ka naman nga pag hindi ka mag-upload, sinaway ta na pakialam, classmate nyo. O, di ba, nag-upload ka mo preamble, kag Bill of Rights, naghalaman silang hala. Ang siling ko, pulo, kag 5:15 gid ila. No, may arag ito, hawod-hawod gid siya. 15, kulang na lang siya 7. 7 na lang, memorize yan ang 22. O, di ba, amazing? Sige, okay, thank you very much for attending. Tapos, save ko lang ni karon i-upload ko sa Kwan. Yes! Yes, Kadil!
Palmis na palmis. Saranggot kami itong, di ba, Lang tong sa tree planting, ma'am, everyday, i-video gid siya.
O, kahit clip lang. Diba? Diba ang TikTok, kay Kwan man lang, clip lang. Tapos, pagka 31st day niya, actually, pwede ko gali siya i-move no, yung 45, pero tama na to ah. Pagka 30 days niya, 31 days, amo na to siya, i-sum up, yun, i-combine nyo na tanan-tanan to siya. Record nyo lang kung nagdako na siya, para may makita talaga ang difference kung nagtaas ba siya, pila na dahon niya, amo na ba?
Nagatubo na tong amon ba, pero gamay lang siya.
Sige lang, ang mahalaga. Oo, basta nagtanom ikaw. Ano gingamit mo ha? Bayabas nga iyangat, butil?
Hindi,
okay. Sige. Basta ay, wala sa minutes, ah. Nga ang kaya sa 1 hour sa TikTok sa kadlaw, ah.
30 seconds.
Oo, 30 seconds lang will do. At least makita mo lang hi. Istoryahan nyo man Istoryahon nyo ang tanom, di ba? Istoryahon nyo ang tanom kay hambal nila. Pag na-istorya ang tanom, nag-grow. Oo. Arap mo si Jenny, nagbalik man si Jenny, oh. Sige na. No question na. Tapos na. Okay. Sige. Thank you very much for attending the class. By Friday ulit, but by Friday, 2 ka topic ang ubuson ko, so morning kita, kung hindi mag-inabno si PLGT. Morning and afternoon kita. For 2 remaining topics, it's about buangit kabin. for 2 remaining topics on citizenship and youth engagement. So that's all for today. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye, ma'am.
Bye, ma'am.
Bye, ma'am.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Mansalita mangod niya. Bye-bye.